Welcome back to the Garden with Joy and Holly radio show. Thank you for being with us today. It's time for your garden questions and our garden answers. If you've got a question, fire it on over here to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com, or give us a call to 1-800-927-SHOW. That's toll free, coast to coast, 1-800-927-7469. This question is brought to you by Fleet Farm and fleetfarm.com.
My jack-o'-lantern pumpkins are ripe now. What can I do if I don't want to harvest or want them ready? Because I want them ready in a month or so to carve for Halloween.
Well, a month or so, yeah, beginning of October. Number one, learn from this year for next year, plant a little later. And then there's a couple of things in which you can do in order to get them to last as long as possible. One, leave them on the vine as long as you can without them starting to rot on the vine. That's number one. Number two, if you're concerned about animals getting into them while they're on the vine, coat them with WD-40. It'll kind of put a protective barrier around them, and will kind of potentially ward off insects and or animals trying to eat them. Squirrels, mice, rats, whatever you may have in your area. If you need to harvest it, keep it in a cool, dry place, about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, with good ventilation. So a shelf in a basement, and that's about all that we can do at this point, is offer you that advice. You can certainly grow them later on in the season next year, figure out where you're at now, and then kind of start 2.5, maybe 3 weeks later. And I mean, the problem with that is, Holly, is okay, I'm going to plant later, but oftentimes we may get an early frost and the thing's not ready yet. And
it's really a gamble. And so I guess you kind of just have to, nature sets the schedule, unfortunately.
All right, next question here. We're going to go to a listener from Michigan. Here we go.
Good morning. This is Ilona out of Highland, Michigan. I listen to you on Wham Radio 1600. My question is, I am a first-time Brussels sprouts grower in my garden, and I have already snipped the tops off, and they're starting to form the little bulbets on the side. I was wondering if I need to also remove all the leaves on the stalk. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you for listening to us out of Southeast Michigan. You did the right thing. You've listened to the program. She's been a long-time listener, and we appreciate that. She topped the Brussels sprout off about 45, 60 days before you want to harvest it. That's going to stop the vertical growth and start putting on or stressing the plant out and putting on the bulblets. You don't want to remove any leaves. That plant still needs that leaf structure for photosynthesis in order to do the thing that it needs to do with the sun. So leave it alone. It'll be fine. Now, if you have some dead leaves at the bottom of the plant, go ahead and you can pull them off. That's not going to be a problem. But don't touch the green leaves on the plant, because the plant needs them to fully complete the development of the sprouts. All right. When growing Jerusalem artichokes, do you harvest the full patch to stop them from taking over? I've planted what I thought was a dead and Dornell one in the ground, and now they are a 12 by 12 foot patch of them, and I'm starting to worry that they're going to get completely out of control and take over areas I do not want them to.
Well,
that's a good thing.
That's a good thing, but it's also
first of all, what are Jerusalem artichokes or sunchokes?
So Jerusalem artichokes, sunchokes, whatever you want to call them, are a root crop. They are kind of like they kind of a potatoey flavor, maybe mixed with a carrot.
But they don't have the starch.
But they don't have they're not as starchy, no. And they're related to the sunflower and dahlia plants. They do put on a very beautiful flower if the flower is able to grow. And they're perennial, so they come back year after year. So that's quite some growth from some sunchokes. I would just suggest pulling them out as much as possible They are going to keep growing. Unfortunately, they're going to come back. But if that's too much for you, you can always just cut off the tops once they start sprouting.
Well, whenever in our patch, we've had it going for about 8-10 years. Some years, phenomenal. Other years, like this year, not so much. It's in a non-irrigated area. And in the years that it's really, really good, they do expand a little bit. They do encroach on the other portions of the garden. But in the springtime, we will go in and cut a perimeter or dig out those plants that are starting to come up. Early on in the spring, you can harvest those tubers and still use them as you would in the fall after the frost has occurred, like you would normally harvest them. So you can control them that way. And if you're in an area where you do not want these things to encroach on anything, you can plant them in large containers. I mean, I'm talking half whiskey barrels or even larger, and you can harvest half the patch and leave the other half in the barrel or in the container to regrow and fill out the rest of the area. It's an acquired taste, I guess you would say, if you never had Jerusalem artichokes. We've done it where we've taken it. The key to Jerusalem artichokes, whether you're making Jerusalem artichoke relish or you're putting them in a stew or a crock pot, or you're air frying them, coated in olive oil, remove the skin. Get the skin off. No matter what you think or how hard you scrub, that's still going to have a certain amount of earthy dirt taste. By pulling the skin off, it really makes a difference.
I do want to note they have this enzyme in them called inulin, not insulin. It's called inulin, and it does give you gas. It will give
it
you
affects
gas.
It different people.
Yeah, but I think if you are prone to being a gassy person, it probably amplifies that.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be gross or weird or funny. I'm just
Somebody's going, hey, this sounds fun.
I'm just letting you know because I don't want you to grow these and all of a sudden you got like rumble guts and you're like, what is going on?
Right.
And you know, your spouse is leaving you, making you sleep in a different room. Who knows? So I just wanted you to keep that in mind.
You can take that however you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that you want to keep that in mind. So if you do grow these and you're not sure how your intestinal tract will react, I've never had any sort of like adverse bathroom situations. It's just the
Well, if you've never grown them,
it's like the musical fruit, right?
If you've never grown them in the fall, now's a good time to go to like a natural food store, because those places will have
sometimes even farmers markets.
Yeah. Right? You're not going to find these at the big supermarkets.
No.
These are not transportable. They just don't last.
But I just want to let people know that. But they are delicious, and like Joey mentioned, the stews. I put them in with the roast once, and they were just so buttery tasting. I don't know what happened with
get the skins off.
Yeah, but
the French fries are good too.
Yeah,
or we slice them, we peel them, and then cut them as chips, coat them in olive oil, and then
we
air fry
fermented
them.
some too.
We fermented some, right?
Was that good or no?
For us, no.
No, it was not good.
For us, no.
Okay, don't do that.
For us, it wasn't that great, but for others, it may be wonderful. But it's a unique crop that not everybody grows, or not everybody is familiar with, or there's a certain group. I've heard of them, but I've just never touched them or had them or experienced them.
Right.
And we grow the white variety. There is an Auburn or a Burgundy variety.
Where did we get those from?
Online seed catalog. Many years ago.
Oh yeah, when my niece was born, when our niece was born, I remember I ordered them that day from some online place on the same day that I was waiting for her to be born.
So you were online shopping back then?
I think I called over the phone, but yeah.
Oh. Back in the day, you used to have to talk to somebody in order to order something.
I had some time to kill, so I was ordering stuff and doing whatever else.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.